big ugly scam is going to destroy hundreds of people and put more funding to create this Gestapo. So, congrats on that, and I appreciate you guys also fighting. How many county commissioners are actually out in the country that this is a big concern because no one wants us in our backyard? And is this just a battle? It's just the beginning. We can't just stand silent and stand goodbye. There's going to be a longer battle ahead. So let's keep up the good fight. And second of all, I don't know, was there any floods that occurred that happened during last month? Because I'm aware of that occurring. It is important infrastructure to be prepared for the flash flood that happened. It's sad that it happened. And I understand this is a big issue. You have to be considered the major environmental crisis of climate change. And if the climate change is real, it's happening right before our eyes. It should be from here. I want to see the city on the other issue of the ordinances after this whole speaking.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to address the council or the public speaking on any issue beyond the rent control cap?
Yes, I'm a taxpayer. I just want to go.
If you could just state your name and address.
272 Hamilton Street, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Taxpayer in the city of Elizabeth, Mr. President. We've had this conversation the last
Sales tax. Sales tax.
Sales tax is not city of Elizabeth property tax. You're not allowed to speak in this public session. I'm sorry.
I was allowed to speak last time.
And that was an error.
Well, I disagree.
Thank you, Councilman. I will allow her to speak at this time. I did consulting with her attorney.
Thank you so much.
If you could just state your name here.
Carissa Pennington.
Thank you.
So, I'm up here speaking because I am, town lines are not real, okay? The reality is that we are all in one community. And when it comes to ICE detention center, it affects everyone in the state of New Jersey, so I hope you keep me in good time. Every single one of us is being affected right now by what's going on with ICE. And it does not matter if we live in Elizabeth. The Elizabeth Detention Center is housing our neighbors right now. Delaney Hall is housing our neighbors. I am here tonight because I understand the unity of the working class being shown up for your neighbors, and it doesn't matter what your zip code is. What is going on with Trump right now? What is going on with Delaney Hall? What is going on with the Elizabeth Detention Center? What is going on with the new detention centers in Trenton, here in Elizabeth, and many other places around the country is a united issue of the working class and the lumpen proletariat. Every single one of us is being affected right now. So I resent any comment that would say otherwise. All of us are a part of this country. This kind of separatist, isolation, not in my backyard talk does not belong here in the United States of America. This is a country of freedom and of freedom of speech. And we have a right to come here, talk about our neighbors who are just over our county line. People in my city, they work in Elizabeth, they travel back and forth on the train. Migration is a right, okay? And let's not pretend that a city line is any different than the border right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to come forward? And as a reminder, I know some other residents and taxpayers might have arrived. During this public speaking time period, it's for any issues beyond the $20 rent control cap. Every tenant or landlord will have an opportunity to speak during the public hearing portion.
My name is Jessica Rivera. My address is 928 Immigrant Avenue. I have been an Elizabeth resident for 39 years. I have been a taxpayer, property taxpayer in Elizabeth for 20 years, 21 years to be exact. I would like to counter what the previous speaker said. This is not, we are not debating things that are going on in this country. We're not debating things that are going on in this state or in this country. This meeting is a city council meeting for the residents of Elizabeth who are voting for things that affect our livelihood, our everyday lives, our homes, and things that happen in the city. So I would like to urge our members to put into motion some type of regulation where during the
for your comments. Anyone else would like to speak?
Hi, my name is Jenny Garcia, and I live at 1040 Bond Street, Elizabeth, New Jersey. I wanted to bring
Yeah, I'm sorry, if you could repeat it.
Yeah, Jenny Garcia, 1040 Bond Street. Yeah, so we had a situation, I don't know if there is the uses of the companies that I contact with. There was a situation on one of my friends who got his car towed because he got hit on Catherine Street, and he had to pay $500 cash in order to get the lease. And it was only in the 2 yard for like 2 days. And when I called the police department, they were already aware that this company had been pretty much stealing from the residents that are working class residents. Sorry, I'm going to lower this because I don't want to do this. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it was kind of frustrating because Elizabeth is a working class city, and to know that people would have to pay $500 cash in order to get the car released, especially if, they weren't asking for the car to be towed on their own accord. They happened to get hit because there's a lack of parking within Elizabeth. So I wanted to bring it to the council's attention to potentially cancel that contract with highway service corporations, because I feel like it's pretty outlandish to charge people $500 cash to get the car released after 2 days.
And you have the specific information of your funds and what is happening.
Yeah, I can bring it up to the council's attention afterwards.
It's a city clerk.
Okay, yeah, so it was $500 cash, and they gave this person like 1 hour to cough up the cash, or they were going to have to pay another day's worth in order to have the car just sit there. In addition to that, since this portion is not about the ordinance, I do want to bring this to attention what my friend did say about the Elizabeth Detention Center, about the Lady Hall, and about how it is a very local issue. So I'm outside to Lady Hall pretty frequently, outside the Elizabeth Detention Center, and the majority of families that we speak to are from Elizabeth, are from York. The thing about ICE is when they open up a detention center, they're going to arrest people within the community. So I don't think it relates to the labor ordinance about rent control, because what is happening right now is that majority of men, of course, women too, are being picked up when they're dropping off their kids to school in very early hours, after work, and their primary breadwinners are being lived in their homes. And now you have women and men and pregnant women with kids who do not work, who are struggling to pay rent right now. So, in relation to the ordinance that's going to happen later, I need to take into account that, ICE has its eyes on this against for very specific reasons, because it's listed wrong as opposed to the training center. So it'd be great to know what the council is doing to protect its residents from ICE activity that happens here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. As Councilman Robo mentioned, any information that you have, you could give it to your city clerk. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak during the public speaking portion before we go to the public hearing?
Record. Huh?
As a reminder, there's a 5-minute limit on what you're able to speak during this time period.
No, I'll be quick today. So I'm basically here because
Please take your full minute.
Sure. My name is Lee Adorno, 1040 Bond.
Lee
Adorno. Adorno. I'm here because I've been doing a lot of community. 1040 Bond. Yes. Okay. But basically I'm here because I talk a lot with the community, people who live here. I do a lot of immigrant rights work. I've been doing it for the past over 10 years, basically. And so what I've been encountering, just walking like on Broad and just talking to people from the community, is that a lot of people are scared because of all the ICE raids that are happening. The expansion of the Delaney Hall that started in May, all the way till now, we have seen a spike in a lot of people from here that have been picked up. I also do a lot of interpretation at the 100 Gateway in Newark, helping people who are applying for asylum. I'm also seeing a lot of cases showing up over there. people who do not have any type of legal representation, and who on top of that do not have any type of interpretation available to them. So we have Elizabeth residents trying to navigate the complex immigration system without the legal counsel of an attorney, and without even being able to sometimes understand what is happening or what is being told to them. And I think it's a really, really real concern for the people who have for many years lived here in Elizabeth. I've met people who have been here over 10 years. I've also have met people who have just come here in the past 3 years. But the fear is the same. They feel that there is a gap, there is a space in what we are doing here in Elizabeth to be able to not only provide the information that is needed right now, right, like about their rights. Not only do they need legal representation, but on top of that, they're dealing with the fact that like a lot of the breadwinners, often the husband or a person, right, the person that's making the most money to pay rent, is being detained unjustly, sometimes just for speaking Spanish. It's very, very important that we understand that like that is a violation to the Constitution, to have agents not even identify themselves, roam around in our streets and be able to take people that later are vulnerable because they are not given any type of legal representation, and have to look for a lawyer that charges them $5,000 to be able to represent them, right? We're talking about like people are already struggling to get food. The groceries have gone very, very expensive. The rent is continuing to go more expensive, which is also why I'm here to talk about. I will talk about the rent cap. But it's a real problem. So I just want to make sure that we have that on record, that today, we start, hopefully, new, initiatives to be able to talk to everybody in their language and be able to provide more resources for the people that need them right now, especially right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Would like to speak to the public speaking portion? Seeing no one, I'll close this time period of public speaking. At this time, we will open the floor for public hearing. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on ordinance number 6160?
There we go. Hey together once again. Jordy Hernandez, 123 Elm Street.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to remind everyone, moving forward, please take your full name and address. Sometimes I do want to apologize. There are times where we might have to ask you to please state it again. It's just the echo of the books. Sometimes it's hard to hear from here. So
All right. Jordy Hernandez, 123 Elm Street. I'm the chairman of Union County DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, and a member of CWA, Local 1033. This is a moment we've been fighting for. Many months of fighting for a campaign to make our city affordable. A city that is affordable for people to live. A city that is affordable for us to continue to pay for a house that is sustainable and it works for all of us. Unfortunately, at a time right now, our rent is going up, off the roof. And I know very well from this campaign that we fought hard to push for our city council to vote yes, is to make sure our $20 rent control cap is back on the charts. Right now, it is becoming very clear that our rent is going up. New Jersey is faced with a major cost of living crisis. Our wages, whether we make $15 an hour or up to $80,000 a year by ourselves or with family, is no longer sustainable to afford rent, even if we're trying to pay for groceries that are becoming expensive, when inflation is going up, and when Donald Trump is coming after the marginalized, who by this one big, beautiful scam that is done to take away Medicaid and other services. we come to the realization that we have to take matters in our own hands. And that is because we are fighting to make our houses affordable for us to pay right now. The landlords, they don't give a damn. They only care about one thing, to exploit our residents and to even take off a leash from us and our income, while they sued us as we're doing the right thing. And I say to them one thing: this is what real democracy looks like. It is a democracy. It is when people show up to do the right thing for the people of our residents who have been nickeled and dimed to death. We can no longer afford to live unless we fight collectively by any means necessary. And that is why we are here today with hundreds of people behind me who are coming to speak to you the truth. We have been sick and tired of a time that the rent is too damn high. And it's time we bring it back. We need it now, before we are being evicted and are homeless and we're left to suffer and die in the streets. It's time we do the right thing. Vote yes, and together we can make a city affordable again. Thank you very much for your consideration. And to all the people who fought hard, thank you for making this possible. Together, let's bring the $20 cap back to Elizabeth.
My name is Mary Ellen Goronsky. I live at 324 Washington Avenue. I would hope that you guys vote. Elizabeth, New Jersey. I hope that you guys vote yes. Rent is becoming extremely impossible. I have been an Elizabeth resident my entire life, 46 years. I have worked full-time, the same job for 29 years. Rent is becoming impossible. It is now housing over food. It is causing mental health issues for children because we no longer can provide them with a stable home. Even if we were to move, there's nowhere to move. The rent is too expensive. What do? A majority of the multi-dwelling homes in Elizabeth are owned by LLCs with a P.O. box in Lakewood, New Jersey. These people have money. They have bought multiple units at the same time. We don't have money. We are trying to make ends meet. My question is, when I can no longer afford my rent, next year is the last year that I will be able to supply my children with housing in the city of Elizabeth, where do I go? Even if I cannot afford the rental increases in the dwelling that I have now, where do I go? Because they own a majority of Elizabeth. A 2-bedroom home is $2,300 to $2,800 a month. Where do you go when you make $56,000 a year? How do you do that? I don't receive Section 8. I don't receive low-income housing. I've never received any type of state assistance, no food stamps, no nothing. I have done it all on my own out of pride and because I just don't qualify. My question to you is, again, where do I go when I no longer can afford to live where I'm living right now? Where do I go? Do I not stay in Elizabeth? Do I find housing in another state? What do I do? Do I leave the job that I've been with for 29 years? What do I do? What do my children do? My neighbor across the hall from me has an eviction letter every 3 months. 2 parents, 3 children. They work 2 jobs and they still can't afford the rent. What do we do? Please take that into consideration. The mental health on those children when they walk home from school and they find that eviction letter on their door. God forbid, I hope that that never happens to me, but my children have had to go with eating cucumbers and tomatoes for dinner because I have to make sure that I have a roof over their head. It is a very serious and dire situation. These kids are going to school, not just my kids, not just the kids in my building. The kids, children all over Elizabeth are worried about whether they're going to have a home to go home to. Whether these parents, even if you evict them, where do they put their property? They have nowhere to put anything. Thank you for your time, and I hope you take into consideration a majority of the Elizabeth residents who are struggling just for housing. We really can't afford it. If you want to punish the tenants that don't pay, please do that, but not the good tenants that pay rent every single month on time. Stop making my children suffer. They can't eat because we have to worry about housing. I thank you all for your time, and I hope you take this into consideration. Thank you.
How many units are you building?
24.
I'm Andre Berger, 1040 Bond Street, Unit 2, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I can state your full name and address again.
Andre Berger, and Unit 2 of 1040 Bond Street in Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, as you know, is a working class city, and the national cost of living crisis has really hit hard here. In my work as a community organizer in Elizabeth, I've talked to families who aren't sure how they're going to feed their children, right, who are giving insufficient food to their children, who aren't able to afford the medical bills that their kids are hit with. And in particular, I'm an immigrants' rights organizer, and families where the primary breadwinner has been detained by ICE, it's a crisis, and they're not able to provide the basic necessities of life for their kids. And that particularly includes rent. Now, as a previous speaker said, right, you're the city council, and your ability to do anything about national policies is limited. But you can do something about the housing affordability crisis here in Elizabeth. These families, who are, by the way, going to be hit really hard by the national legislation that just passed, when Medicaid is attacked, food stamps are slashed, they need this bill to pass. If they're going to stay in Elizabeth, if they're going to stay in their homes, they need these homes to be affordable. And as you know, housing in Elizabeth has not been affordable for years now. You have an obligation to your constituents, to the working class families of this city, to pass this legislation. And even if you can't fix this national affordability crisis, you can make sure that working class families in Elizabeth can afford to live here and to stay here. Thank you.
Last thing, how many units are here at 1040 Bond Street? 2 units.
It affects the market. My name is Isaac Jimenez, address 429 Fairmount Ave, Jersey City. I come to the council today after, again, hundreds of tenants have spoken to us in conversations at their doors. Tenants in rent-controlled buildings, many of the buildings that are represented by the landlords behind me, who have had it with the rent increases, especially illegal ones. As the woman who was just speaking told me, there are plenty of illegal rent increases in the city. And so our campaign was also about going door to door and making sure that tenants knew the current ordinance as it was, because even that has been defaced and broken. Even the current ordinance is being broken every day by landlords. The landlords are not even following the law that's on the books right now. So the $20 rent cap was a novel thing in this city, let's admit it, since 1980, maybe sooner. If anyone wants to talk to me about how that came about, please do. But Elizabeth has always been an affordable city. I grew up here. I went to First Assembly of God. I grew up on Bayway Avenue. And, we stayed here because we could afford it. And because it's a great city with great schools, and, it's a place where people want to raise their families. And so when in 2022, when the cap was removed, thinking we're coming out of a COVID window, even though there's so many other crises today, there's an affordability crisis in housing. The problem is that some people see housing as a commodity when many need housing. Everyone needs housing because it's a human right. Housing is something that everyone needs. And so while some people want to see housing as something that can make a return on investment, and while they want to fight us over the profits that they're losing, there are many just losing their ability to live their life. Okay, so I hope the council that's here votes to restore the rent cap. And let's be also honest, this morning, this committee was served order to show cause by the gentleman behind me. And they even named our city clerk, Yolanda, in that order to show cause. And they're already fighting you guys. So it's about where the city is now. Is the city with us? Are we with the city? And are we going to fight this all the way? Because if we win, you know, we win not just for the city. And I really am impressed by the speakers and sort of the debate we were just having about lines and, you know, city jurisdiction. You know, what we're doing here is fighting for the whole working class. We're fighting for tenants. We're fighting for the entire housing justice movement if we're able to reintroduce and win this ordinance. And, you know, I'll just go right into it because they're going to talk about it. The counts in the claim are baseless. We got hundreds of signatures, way more than we needed. You know, solicitors don't have to live in Elizabeth. You know, it's the case with any ballot initiative anywhere. You don't have to have every single person live in Elizabeth. We need to work with our neighbors. We need to work with all of the New Jersey working class. And not just citizens. There's so many people, about half of Elizabeth is not even citizen. This is an international community. And citizenship is something that's, over the past few decades, has been used to actually separate the working class and create these haves and have-nots. So citizenship is another thing that this campaign is fighting for, the right to have a vote, regardless of citizenship, because they do pay taxes. Even non-citizens pay taxes in this community. And in some municipalities, non-citizens can vote in local elections. That would make this body so much more representative and accountable to the entire residents of Elizabeth. So I hope the ordinance passes today. You can vote on it. It's on the agenda. Don't let anyone behind me tell you otherwise. You can vote on this thing. And if they want to keep fighting it, we'll see you in court. Honestly, we'll see you in court. Because they can't feed their families, you can. And you can take a little bit off the top. Thanks.
Please state your.
My name is James Simpson. I reside at 449 Madison Avenue in the fair and richly historical city of Elizabeth, New Jersey. Okay, good evening. You know, I'm really tired of seeing this pattern. I'm old enough that I've seen it several times in my life. You have a nice city, people get along, it's diverse, the schools are good. And then you have people who just have to make a profit off of the fact that it's a nice place to live. Now, I'm not against making a profit, but come on. There's a point at which you gotta cap this, because if people are losing their residences because it's too expensive to stay in the city, that's what's going on now. You know, it's not just happening in Elizabeth. Elizabeth is an example of what's happening all around the country right now. But because we're here, we all care about this city. Well, most of us do. I think that what we need to do here is look inside. We need to look inside and say, how much does it take for me to live a good life? Does it take 45 million? Does it take several hundred million? Or can I live a good life maybe on a couple 100,000 or 50,000 if everybody else can live one too? That's the real question that is at the bottom of the question that we're dealing with here. So I hope that we can find that in ourselves. Rest of the world is watching some of this all over this country. So I hope we choose it the right way. Thank you.
I'm David Legow, one of the owners of Chilton Towers and Linden Arms. Chilton Towers is at 220 West Jersey Street. Linden Arms is at 811 Linden Avenue. My offices are in Livingston, 160 South Livingston Avenue. In our opinion, the amendment to this ordinance, reinstating a $20 cap, is not validly before you tonight for all the $20 cap initiative is not validly before you for the reasons stated, many reasons stated in our verified complaint that was filed with the Judge Walsh this morning. So we respectfully urge the clerk of Elizabeth to decertify it. There are many reasons listed in there, and I guess you'll have to go over that with counsel. But the $20 cap is a terrible disincentive to invest in Elizabeth. Many of us have major capital improvements going on. At Chilton, we have a major HVAC upgrade. It's incredibly expensive. We're about 40% through. In Linden Arms, we are trying to put in air conditioning. We've concluded the electric, upgraded the electric for about $520,000. Like to put air conditioners in each room. This is really going to affect us and hamper our ability to do all this work, which our residents want and are willing to pay for. We have a lot of inflation in our business too, and the $20 cap, as I said last week, doesn't cover three expenses that we don't even have control over: real estate taxes, utilities, and insurance. It doesn't cover right now, and it's going to put us further behind the eight ball. 75% of the residents in Elizabeth are renters. All right. If the apartment owners cannot invest, the buildings will go downhill. Many of them are old already. We were just pulling out of the COVID catastrophe with an eviction moratorium. We sustained major losses, and we were on the way to recovery. Now we're going to really get hurt. And urge you, if the apartments go down, so does the city. There are just too many apartments. Urge you to reconsider here, and if we have to, we will proceed with our legal remedies. Don't wish to do that. You just passed an ordinance 8 months ago. Hopefully you'll defend your own ordinance. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Next person, come forward. Please state your name and full address.
Good evening. My name is Andy Cohen. I own 1464 and 1465 Lexington Place in Elizabeth. I've been a landlord here since 1998. When I bought that building, I lived in a rent-stabilized apartment in New York City, so I was a tenant and a renter. And I bought those two buildings, so I get it. I'm not here to argue that the rent's not too damn high. I know it's not easy every month. I am here to talk about what's reasonable, what's right, and what's balanced for the city of Elizabeth. So let's say I have an answer. No more rent, right? I'll sell you an apartment in my building. You don't have rent anymore. But you know what's too damn high? Are property taxes. Do you know 2 months of your rent go just to pay the city of Elizabeth for property taxes? We have to pass that on to them. So if you buy an apartment in my building,
if you could address the city council,
like the tenants, I would see it, sure, and I appreciate this time. Sell an apartment in my building. The tenant would be responsible for the property taxes, which go up. They would be responsible for insurance, which has doubled since COVID, getting slammed with insurance costs. Be responsible for heat, for hot water, for the payroll to run the building, water and sewer, which keeps going up, for all the repairs in the building. I'm not crying poverty, but no one is getting rich running a building in Elizabeth. We're doing okay, but no one's getting rich. You know how you get rich is by selling it. This reminds me when I went to the city of Newark and asked for an 8% one-time increase on my 17 rent-controlled tenants in a building on Broadway. I needed it to keep the building afloat. 8% increase. I got rejected. I had to sell the building. Within 18 months, it had burned down. 17 families lost their home. Thank God nobody was injured. You have to be able to maintain these buildings. $20 a month. I wish I could say it, but it's not reasonable. And beating up on landlords. I've been very proudly providing housing to hundreds of people in Elizabeth over these decades. I'm very proud of it. But you can't beat up on the landlords and expect them to do a good job. Federal government, yes. The federal government used to be in the housing business. They're out of it. Now they're in building aircraft carriers and prison camps. I don't know. But they used to provide housing for people. They don't anymore. And I get it. You want now the landlords to do it. It's not the solution. We need reasonable rent increases to keep up with all these costs and expenses and maintenance that we're saddled with in these buildings, to keep this city in good shape. Otherwise, it's just going to deteriorate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next person come forward.
Jim Rickers, 425 Rose Hill Place, 115 apartments, Vine Gardens.
The address again?
425 Rose Hill Place. 424 Vine Street, 42 apartments, Vine Gardens. Now our average rents between both places probably about $1,500 a month. Averaging between 1 and 2 bedrooms. $20 equates to probably 1.2% increase. And as everyone in this room knows, all expenses are going up more than 1.2% per year. Probably in most cases more than the 3% per year that we're at with the current ordinance. But even with that, and many years, we operate at a loss. We have years where we have a year where a good year is where 2 months of someone's rent, of any person's rent, actually went towards profit, and the other 10 months go to expenses. That's a good year. Now, but what we've done with the good year is things that we couldn't do before because we're just scraping by with these minimal increases that don't meet our expenses. Done painting, big painting projects, parking lots, security, upgrades in occupied units, which is something we couldn't do before. Obviously, we maintain them, but to do like real upgrades in an occupied apartment for maybe a long-term tenant, that allows you to do those things. Some landlords might be in worse shape than us, and they're gonna, they might be really struggling, and at $20 a month, going down from 3%, which might be like $40 a month, you can make the difference in them being able to even just keep up with the regular maintenance that they have to, just to maintain the property properly. I know I heard a gentleman say before, the original $20 came out in, I think, 1980 something. Well, let's compare what you could buy for $20 in 1980 to what you can get for $20 now. I mean, if you were to do it at that rate, adjusting for inflation, the increase would be a lot more than 3%. So I'm just saying, I think it's more harmful to the residents of the city than helpful to reduce it to $20 cap. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person come forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlos Castañeda, and I live at 39 Dayton Street, Elizabeth. And I'm here today to ask you, I'm just going to go right to the point. I'm here to ask you to bring back the $20 cap on rent increases. Rents in our city are already too high. The average rent is around $1,500 a month. And have you gotten a chance to tour these facilities, these places? They're decrepit. They're falling apart. Most of them are full of roaches, full of rats. When you call the landlords, they take about a month almost to respond to your text, emails, or phone calls. The cost of food, gas, and all of the necessities have gone up. But you know what has not gone up? Paychecks. So while families are struggling to decide whether to pay the rent, buy medicine, or access childcare, all of this is becoming harder and harder for our families, our working families in Elizabeth. Before last year, the $20 cap on rent increases kept things predictable. Landlords could raise rent, but only by a small amount. That gave families a chance to plan, to breathe, and to stay in their homes. But since that cap was removed, rent hikes can be much bigger. That is money many families don't have. It's money that forces parents to make impossible choices. Now, check this out. More than 700 people in Elizabeth have signed petitions asking you to bring back the $20 rent cap. Their message is loud and clear. Council members, today you have the opportunity to continue to show true leadership. Our friends, our families are watching. You can choose to stand with the working families of Elizabeth, or you can let profit push them out. Please listen and act. Restore the $20 rent cap now, because affordable housing is more than a policy. It's a fundamental human right. Thank you.
Mr. President, how many families are you in your village?
Good evening. My name is Fernando Cabrera. I'm with Affiliated Management, 301 South Livingston Avenue, Livingston, New Jersey. We house 33 families at 554 Westminster Avenue, as well. Sure. We house 33 families at 554 Westminster Avenue, as well as 34 families at 405 Greer Avenue at Hampshire House. I was here last week and I brought up the point of the social contract, which we are all part of. The reality is that landlords are not responsible for every single social problem that exists today. I think we're all reasonable people and we could all agree on that. The reality is forcing ordinances on municipalities is not the way to achieve a long-lasting outcome for renters, for landlords, or municipalities. All three components are required to be progressive. A modern society, by definition, is progressive. The $20 cap was regressive, and it lasted for 30 years. 3 years ago, we took steps to become progressive in this city. Those were positive steps. Now we're looking to regress, go backwards to $20 caps, which do not cover any services, any basic services at our businesses. They don't. It's unrealistic. We have to be realistic. We are the only industry that is dictated, this is what we would like to pay for the services that we receive from you. This is the worst state in the country when it comes to regulation on our industry. That's a fact. So when I was here last week, I asked for reason, a coming together, a conversation in regards to what can both sides of the coin live with. The answer is not forced ordinances. If anything, I think the petition is a good opportunity to begin dialogue between the two sides of the argument, and the municipality bringing the two sides together so that nobody is trying to govern out of fear. There's too much fear. The renters have fear. Municipalities have fear of not doing the right thing. Governing is not easy. It's not a popularity contest. Many times you upset someone when you do it. But in any good mediation, both sides walk away not 100% satisfied. That's what this calls for. Especially if you're looking at the long-term health of the city of Elizabeth. The worst case scenario is the good landlords, which are suffering probably because of a handful of bad landlords. Let's be honest. They sell. They sell to someone who isn't going to reinvest in the city, who's not going to care, who hasn't been in the city for 70 years, like my colleague. That's worst case scenario. We're asking for dialogue and reasonable thinking and getting to a point where both sides can live together, getting to that midpoint that this subject requires. Thank you for your time.
Herbert Chacon, 348 Harvard Avenue, Hillside, New Jersey. I'm on the local executive board of Health Professional Allied Employees, Local 5094, where we represent over 3,000 employees at Rutgers University, University Hospital, and Rowan University, 100 of which live in the city and are tenants. We have some who are in the audience with us. In my profession, not maybe very unlike the landlord, we actually provide a service that is healthcare. And I wanted to share some thoughts on that. My professional is I'm a therapist. I see many clients who experience symptoms related to depression, psychosis, etc. Many have ended up unhoused. I constantly hear the delusions of I'm being priced out of my apartment. And I have to do the reality check with them that no, that is not a voice you're hearing. Your landlord did send you a letter of eviction. Your rent did go up exponentially. Landlords are presenting this as a simple matter of arithmetic and bookkeeping. If you put $20 in one column, it's less than the figure you put in another column. I'm not going to argue with that because there's no point. The argument starts and stops if the balance does not fit, you must veto. Landlords need to tell us about their expenses for a simple reason. They need to tell us about operating costs, debt, service, property taxes, and mortgages for the reason that these are not concepts which concern working people. People who rent homes that they live in, nobody needs an explanation for the concept of the cost of living. Groceries, transit, childcare, or the concept of wages that don't go up while everything, including housing, gets more expensive. So they show us the rent increase in one column and ask us to look at the expense in another column. Tenants have a column too they're comparing against. And at the end, it looks like everyone is coming short. So then the question isn't an accounting judgment of one number being bigger than the other. It is a value judgment about who can absorb costs and who can't, and what happens when someone cannot afford the cost. If a tenant cannot afford the cost, they are priced out, they're on the streets, or they end up in my office where I do therapy with them, and there's no CET out of homelessness. A landlord that can't absorb costs might decide that housing is no longer a profitable investment and may move on to investing in private equity, or maybe they should try online gambling. I am urging you guys to vote fair in the side of the working class, because I don't think it's fair that people in my union cannot afford to live here. Thank you.
I know there's some residents or owners right here at restaurants. Our ABC meeting was scheduled for 7:30, and it's going to be, we have to finish this meeting first. Thank you for your patience as you wait until this meeting is complete. So next person to come forward, please state your full name and address.
Of course. Hello, my name is Lee Adorno. I live on 1040 Bond. Good? Alright, cool. I wasn't born in New Jersey, but I grew up here. So I'd like to share with the room a little bit of one of our really good writers, Ricardo Flores Magón from Mexico. It says, "A man is free, truly free, when he doesn't need to rent out his arms to anybody in order to lift a piece of bread to his mouth. And this liberty is obtained solely in one manner, taking resolute, without fear, the lands and machinery and the means of transport, so that they will be the property of all men and women alike." That was Ricardo Flores Magón from Oaxaca, Mexico. I don't know, I came in with comments, and I think I'm going to have to change it last minute, because it's very distasteful to hear about a landowner say that they're doing all right, that this issue doesn't really affect them, TBH, because that's a privilege in today's economy. Often, landlords whine about paying insurance, heat, and upkeep, but we and many renters have to pay renters insurance, light, gas, and it's renters that do the upkeep, because we know, they know, that if they return a broken apartment, they are penalized. It's hard to hear that, because I've spoken to single mothers trying to catch a break. They have to decide on whether to pay internet or not, or prioritize food since the kids are out of school. Landlords don't actually provide a service. Landlords hate coming to talk to renters. They hate tending to our needs. I've talked to renters who work long hours on Lyft and Uber and can't find parking and are outside sleeping in their cars at 2 a.m. because there's no parking out here. Yet at the same time, more Airbnbs are popping up in our neighborhood, gentrifying it, bringing in tourism that of people that, like, you can obviously tell that they don't live here. Our community is at stake. And yeah, I agree with you. $20 doesn't have the same value as it did before. And that is exactly why we're here today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Morera. My address is 920 Van Buren Avenue. I wanted to talk a little bit about the situation in Elizabeth in a general sense, and I hope that you guys can take this into account when making your decision. Again, I've been a lifelong resident in Elizabeth. My parents are both immigrants. They worked very hard and are very fortunate to, over the years, have been able to buy a few properties. They have always made the choice to purchase those properties in Elizabeth because we've always been proud residents of Elizabeth. Okay. That being said, I have my phone ringing every single day with people wanting to buy our properties. Those people that want to buy our properties, they are not us. They are not small people. They are not individuals. They are large corporations. And what's happened over the past 10 to 20 years in this city is that homeowners like us are being run out of the city because of the overhead in this city currently. We own a property that has 4 residential apartments in it. Just an example. From 2022 to 2025, our tax increased $2,300. In addition to that, our insurance increased $3,000 because we have 2 claims because one of our tenants flooded the apartment and we had a water claim, and another one of our tenants had caused fire damage in there. And because of the negligence of those 2 tenants, our insurance increased $3,000. We are currently paying $10,000 to insure that property. It is becoming impossible to maintain a property in Elizabeth unless you're a large corporation. And it is those large corporations that are charging $2,800 rents. It's not the individual people. It's the people that are being run out and taking over these properties. They're the ones that are being unfair on the rent. The problem is when you cap it at something like $20, the people that you're punishing is not those corporations because those corporations can handle it. The people you're punishing are the individual homeowners. The small homeowners that have 1 or 2 properties, that have 1 or 2 buildings, they're the ones that can't maintain this. It's becoming literally impossible. So I have to sit there and think, am I going to continue to live here? Am I going to continue to try and provide clean, functional houses for my tenants? Because if you go look at any of our properties, they are well maintained. Our rents are hundreds of dollars below the average in Elizabeth. Actually, over $1,000 below the average in Elizabeth for a lot of our properties. Why? Again, because it is these giant corporations that are coming in and taking over these properties. But if you continue to punish landlords and the small individual people that try to make something of themselves, we have no reason to stay here. And what's going to happen is more and more of those corporations are going to come in and they're going to care less and less about the tenants. So it's going to take longer for the tenant requests to be addressed. It's going to take longer for the tenants to have their apartments fixed, their air conditioners fixed, everything. Because I promise you one thing, these corporations, they truly do not care about the citizens of Elizabeth. The people that invest in Elizabeth, the people that have been here for decades, like almost every one of these landlords here, we actually care, right? We actually show up, but we're being run out of the city. So yes, $2,800, that is difficult for anybody to pay. And I fully understand that and don't disagree with that. But there has to be some type of something in place where these landlords that are not these huge corporations are not being punished. When our expenses, our overhead are being raised thousands of dollars every year, and we can increase our rent $20, Like it just doesn't make sense. And it's not like we're not making millions of dollars. We're making maybe a few $1,000s on a property a year if we're lucky. But that's kind of the purpose of owning a home. If not, like, again, what's the point? Like, what's the point? And if you go and you look at these properties with the grass that's overrun and the stuff not maintained, go look at who owns them. Again, it's these large corporations. The people that you're running out, these are the good landlords. The people that are coming in, they're a huge part of the problem. And the people that are feeling it are the citizens of Elizabeth. So the problem needs to be addressed at its core. And making this $20 limit, that's not going to fix the problem. At this point, there's a 3% limit that is somewhat fair. Somewhat fair. $20, that's not even close to fair. That's all.
Hi, again, my name is Carissa Cunningham, 272 Hamilton Street. Carissa Cunningham, 272 Hamilton Street, New Brunswick, New Jersey. I want to say a few things about some of the arguments that the landlords here have made tonight, because I think it's important to address them. One, this idea of the small landlord. We're talking about landlords not with 2 4 units. We're talking about landlords with 20 units. We're talking 40 units. We're talking 70 units. We're talking hundreds of units. The idea that that is a small landlord is frankly ludicrous, right? And it's an insult to our education as the working class to be told otherwise. Another thing I want to address and I want to bring to the council's attention is the New Jersey Apartment Association. Many of the landlords here tonight are associated with this 527. In fact, the top donor to this particular institution is a landlord here tonight, and he has donated over $450,000 in money to try to get rid of rent control via the New Jersey Apartment Association, which advocates not just to suppress rent control, but to abolish it. So the question here tonight is really about what matters in our democracy. Is it money? Is it? Or is it votes? Because the last time I checked, all of you guys won your positions via votes, not because of money. There is a false belief in this country that money equals power, but that is a lie. The working class vastly outnumbers the bourgeoisie. And we are here tonight to speak for ourselves. We do not need landlords to speak for us about what is good for us. It's frankly ridiculous and insulting to suggest so. We are here to speak to our public officials. I'm looking at each one of you in the eyes. You were elected via a democratic system of voters. We have 700 voters, and many voters which came here to speak tonight. What are you going to stand with? Are you going to stand with the landlords, with the money, people who don't even live here, right? They only have a material interest here. And they have the audacity to say that I, as a working class resident in New Brunswick, don't have an interest here, but they do. Ridiculous. Insulting. But I want to end on a positive note, so I'll say this. This campaign has been incredibly empowering. Getting to talk to tenants all over Elizabeth has shown me how powerful tenants are in this city. And they will fight, and they will win this battle. And I'm excited, and I'm hopeful, even if the City Council turns this down, guess what? The reason why the landlords are so afraid, why they're filing injunctions, is because they know they're about to lose. So, I ask you, do you want to be a part of the losing team, or do you want to be a part of the winners? The people who actually run the city, the people who actually build this city, the people who actually make this city run, the workers, the people who live here. Thank you so much.
Ricky Castañeda, 731 Wyoming Avenue, Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'm here today
to speak on behalf of the committee in regards to supporting this ordinance that's in front of y'all today. This ordinance is really important for many of the reasons that folks before me have spoken about. I do want to say that for the past 2 months, we have worked so hard, tirelessly, weekends, nights, in the heat, in the rain, trying to collect all these signatures to support something so simple as a $20 rent cap so that folks can afford the medicine that they need, to afford the food at their tables, to afford childcare. The working class is asking for something so simple as a relief. We're not asking for much. A $20 rent cap is modest. Landlords have complained about trying to make their ends meet, their profit margins, making sure that they keep those margins high. But while they're trying to squeeze out of our pockets the pennies that we have left in our pockets, they're just getting rich. And frankly, a quick Google search that I did just a couple moments ago, some of the council members here might have gotten some donations from these folks over here. So please, you guys are all Democrats, right? You guys are supposed to work for the working class, right? So do that, okay? We need y'all to support this ordinance. This is an easy slam dunk. Super easy. Approve it here today. That way you don't have to let voters decide in November, because when voters see this in front of their ballots in November, they're going to easily support this, but then they're going to wonder, hey, why did the Democrats in the council today not approve that? What are y'all doing? This isn't a debate. This is easy. Either you stand with us, the working class, or you stand with the ruling class that's just trying to squeeze all the pennies that's left in our pockets. I hope y'all do the right thing. Good night. Why are you asking that question?
It's yours very specifically when it applies to some asking.
That's not a relevant question that I'll have to answer. Thank you.
One family.
If you could state your name and address.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. My name is Alejandro Jaramillo, and my address is 697 River Road, Broadway, New Jersey. But I was a resident of Elizabeth for a long time. I came with my family, an immigrant family, went to high school, graduated from Elizabeth High School, maybe with some of you from Halsey Hall, went to college while living in Elizabeth. My parents went to grad school, got married, raised my family here in Elizabeth. So I have a lot of ties to Elizabeth. And the reason that I want to mention that is that the fact that my parents, when we came to this country, they were working people. They work in the factories, but housing was affordable. We live in Maple Avenue, Bayway Avenue, Eli Street. It was affordable and it was a decent neighborhood. And thanks to that, I was able to go to Elizabeth High School, graduate, get a good education, continue to college, and also when I finished college, I started working, I became a landlord. I had a 4-dwelling property in Roosevelt Street and did really well and kept with the rent regulations and everything, right? And I know that sometimes you have expenses and you get losses some months because something broke, you have to fix, but you make it up in the following months. And at the end, real estate is a long-term investment. And at the end, I sold the property, I recouped, and I made a good chunk of money that I was able to pay that my other house with that money. So having said that, is keeping that cap of $20 at this time is a decision that is going to help a lot of families that have children, that will allow them to stay in Elizabeth, to flourish during the time when I lived in Elizabeth, when I was a landlord, there were rent regulations and the city flourished. And it's a nice city. So I think that you have to take the chance and vote yes for this proposition, right? And let reality prove itself There are going to be times in the future to make other decisions, right? But you got to be courageous at this time and be on the side of the working people. These are really hard times. Everything is going up, right? Inflation. There are not raises to keep up with inflation. So this is a time for you to be in solidarity with the renters of Elizabeth and with the people of Elizabeth. For the people that have invested their money in their buildings, you know, their properties are being, they are getting value, and they are making money, and they will recoup their money at the end. Thank you.
We will move to ordinance on the final reading.
Ordinance number 6160, an ordinance to amend Chapter 5.7 of the City of Elizabeth, entitled Rent Control or Stabilization, to add a $20 limit to increases in base rent.
You've heard the reading of ordinance number 6160. What is your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Any comments? Yes, Councilman Torres.
I just want to make it clear that I understand both sides. I understand the landlords that you want to use to maintain the property of your residents. And I understand the residents' point of view where you have to choose between groceries, childcare, or putting shelter over their head. So rent control is not about numbers for me, it's about people. So I want to make sure that the residents are not being pushed out. So I choose to support this ordinance.
Anyone else would like to speak? Councilman Mazza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Elizabeth City Hall. I have been a councilman working at rent control since 1980. And I do believe that we definitely rent control law will have among the best rent control law in the state of New Jersey. And the reason is to protect everyone, not only the tenants and keep paying rent, but the landlord that made an investment in the city, and they provide whatever is required under the law. And if anybody read rent control law, they said anyone sign the landlord. The landlord needs to make money. There is so many clauses inside the law. They control the government improvement, major identification, there is money that provides, etc. So is the tenants. The tenants, they are working class people, they're not multi-millionaire. I remember back in America many months ago, my father was paying $90 a month. The same house where I have the old council where I got is $1,500 for rooms. In those days, $90. So look at the increase over here, 4%, 3%, whatever the amount is back in the other year. So I do believe, and I do support this because last time I remember that I did support the $20 cap. No, I didn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just want to make sure that the public understands. I disagree with Councilman Mazza. I think we don't have one of the best, we have the best rent control ordinance in the state of New Jersey. There is no rent control ordinance in towns like Hillside and Galway. Landlords are allowed to raise rent as the market bears. In New Brunswick, the rent control is at 5.5% with no cap. That is not the case in the city of Elizabeth. This council has worked on this ordinance for the last 20 years that I've been at this member of the council. Every 2 years, we listen to both sides. We work on this ordinance. We've come to realize 8 months ago that $20 was just not the case anymore. $20 now can't even buy you 2 cups of coffee. So it was reasonable at the time that this council took into account all of the facts that were brought before us. And we felt for the first time, after 1980, 45 years, that a $20 cap was just unreasonable. Most of the speakers today were not from this town. Most of them were residents of 2- and 1-family homes, which, I'll be honest with you, if you don't know this, rent control does not apply to 3-family, 2-family, or 1-family units. So regardless of what happens tonight, this 20 cap is not going to affect those that live in 2-family homes. Landlords can increase your rent as high as they want. It's not going to affect you. I believe that a large percentage of the 700 people that signed the petition live in 1- or 2-family homes and don't realize that this $20 cap that is being asked for is not going to affect them in any way. The gentleman spoke about right to know. That's not something municipalities can control. That is something that the federal government set forward. You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in the United States. We're not going to change that here tonight. The cap has been in place from 1980. Residents have to realize that to maintain their household, it costs you more than $20 increase every month because of the expenses. We've all talked about it. The one gentleman was very on point. He said we need to reach some sort of understanding between both sides. I understand that there's been litigation filed on that number. We haven't been shared a copy of any litigation that's been filed on that.
Specifically, the day was around noon, and we did have a conference with the assigned judge this afternoon at 3 p.m. There's a conference tomorrow morning.
Why would we provide with a copy of anything in this file?
Because at the time, we didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And then, preparing for this meeting tonight, which you will see close to 272 pages.
So my question to the law department is, knowing that there's pending litigation, do we have to act on this ordinance tonight? Or do we have 20 days to take receipt of this last Tuesday?
Council, regardless of the litigation, the statute says when the city clerk submits to council for a petition, you have 20 days to act. And if no action is taken within 20 days, then we'll go on that in the following.
So a week ago, just 7 days, we received a petition to the city council. So we have another 13 days before we can act on this, correct?
Yes. The references have found from the sort of submission, yes, on this.
So I'm going to make a motion to table this ordinance until we have our 20 days to review it before the judge.
Motion by Councilman Groves, second by Councilman Bowman. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilman Carroll?
No.
Councilman Nyland?
No.
Councilman Bowman?
Aye.
Councilman Mazza?
No.
President Sedano?
No. Any other colleagues have any comment at this time? Before we proceed with the vote on ordinance number 6160. I just have a couple comments for myself. I just want to thank everyone for coming here this evening to share your concerns. We, of course, as a body, it's really important to hear from everyone here. And I know we went a little longer this meeting, and for everyone that's here for the ABC meeting, once again, thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. We will be meeting shortly. But I wanted to echo what one of my colleagues mentioned, that the city of Elizabeth has one of the best, if not the best, rent control ordinance in pretty much the country, I would say. I know that myself, when it came to the $20 cap to be removed 3 years ago, I voted no. And the reason why I voted no 3 years ago was simply because affordability in the city of Elizabeth has gotten more complex with time. And I do know that the rent control ordinance provides provisions for landlords to be able to go through a process in case there's things that they want to bring to the attention, if they're losing money and everything. There's a process in place. I personally have spoken to many landlords, and I've spoken to a lot of tenants, and I just have seen firsthand that it's a necessity to have pretty much affordable housing in our community, and I will be supporting the ordinance.
Mr. President, one more comment. Our ordinance will expire, current ordinance will expire December 31st, 2026. This town council has reviewed this ordinance every 2 years. I understand the petition is requesting that the ordinance be extended for a third year to December 31st, 2027. As the town council, if it's to the attorney, we could adopt an ordinance with the $20 cap with the expiration date to coincide with the expiration date of our ordinance, which is December 31st, 2026.
So, as in this council, I believe the petition has been crossed out from 2024 to 2027, that's correct. And if we were to support the petition, it has to be substantially similar to the one that's presented to this council. So, it was accepted as council to determine whether that was substantially to have a legal discussion about it to make the exception. But it's basically the change cannot be a substantial change to the position.
So it's changing the year to coincide with our normal renewals as considered substantial change in year.
I would answer it for I would say anything that as we first crossed out, I would probably not have.
I'm sorry?
That could potentially be this change. That was a change specifically in the organization. So, maybe edits to that, the altering the petition.
Thank you, Councilman. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilman Rowland.
Aye.
Councilman Torres.
This is to approve the ordinance.
Councilman Canary.
Aye.
Councilman Ball.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
President Sedin.
Aye. Ordinance number 6160 passes on final reading. If I could receive a motion to adjourn. So moved. Right now, just want to mention we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and then we will start our ABC meeting right after.